Previously in the Bible.
The sons of Israel rose out of Egypt in battle array.
Moshe summoned the elders of the nation and put the words Jehovah had commanded before them.
If someone hits a guy and the guy dies, the first guy dies for sure. Anyone who fucks an animal gotta die right away.
All the tools of the sanctuary, all its service, its pegs, and the pegs of the courtyard will be copper.
Take some of the blood on the altar and from the anointing oil and sprinkle it on Aharon, his clothing, and his sons and their clothing.
For thousands of years, we've been under the impression the Bible was meant to be taken seriously. Finally, a new translation that'll change all that. This is Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible! Welcome to episode 31 of Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible with me, David Tuckman, coming to you in front of a live audience at Beauty Bar in New York City. Give it up for yourselves. Packing this place out. Eth Munch on the show. A guest joins me and tries to read as many chapters as possible of my own personal translation of the Hebrew Bible while I make fun of it. And tonight, we're reading the 8th portion of Exodus, known in Hebrew as Kitisa, and in English as You'll See. Tonight is Monday, April 27, 2015. I don't know why we care, but I think people seem to think that's important on the internet, so I just said the date. As always, I want to thank Juicy for being our internet partner and posting the episodes semi-regularly as soon as they go up. And that's about it. I'm really excited for this episode, and I'm really glad that all you guys are here tonight. The second half of Exodus is what biblical scholars call boring. And we're smack in the middle of it, and very luckily, we have an awesome reader here tonight, and also actual plot happens in this episode. So I'm really excited to bring him out and to hear things actually happening. Are you guys ready for your guest? So this guy, he is the founding editor of a website called Unpious. He is a big part of a crew of OTD, or off the derech, or of Jews who have kind of left being very, very serious religious Jews. And most recently, he is the author of the amazing memoir, All Who Go Do Not Return. Give it up for Shulem Deen. Look at this book. This is a great book. How are you doing, Shulem? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. This is really exciting.
I
want to say, I'm among the people who think this show is an abomination.
Oh my God.
That's a good thing.
Ew.
That's what makes it great.
You know what else is an abomination?
Tell me.
Seeing your sister-in-law naked, I think.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You thought I was going to say something else. Thank you so much. Why do you think it's a good thing that it's an abomination?
Well, I think we should be irreverent wherever we can. I think we should seek to undermine establishment wherever we can, because establishment sucks, and it's usually misguided. And yeah, I think this is a great project. I think we need to rewrite the Bible and have fun with it.
I think so. I think it's about time we finally had fun with this thing. It's been so dour and mean for so long, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun to be had, as we'll see today. I had some questions. Well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure.
So your book, All Who Go Do Not Return, is a really affecting kind of amazing... Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
It's really an incredible story. You grew up in New Square in New York. Or you grew up in
Borough Park.
You grew up in Borough Park and then kind of came of age in New Square in New York,
right,
and were sort of excommunicated from the New Square community in your 20s, I think. Is that right?
I was 30.
You were 30. Oh, my God. I'm turning 30 in 2 months, so I want to pretend that 30 is still in your 20s. Tell us about the process behind writing this book. Where did it come from?
The process. Well, I wanted to write a book. That was the most important thing to me. I had to decide what kind of book I was going to write, and I had an agent who was willing to represent me for a memoir, and so I wrote a memoir.
That's a good reason. I like that process.
It was a tough decision deciding to write a memoir, because when you write a memoir, you have to. It's not just you're telling a story; you're telling your own story, and you put yourself out there in a way that I wasn't initially entirely sure that I wanted to do that. But I did make that decision, and I think it was a good decision. I mean, I'm happy with what came out. It's been very well received, so I'm definitely proud of it.
It's really a very affecting and very well-written book.
Thank you.
Your story is really... I connect to it on a personal basis. I, too, was somebody who grew up in a very religious community and then kind of had to tear myself away from that community. But your tearing away was even more painful and more
right. And also,
hard.
I was married.
Yes.
And I had kids, and yeah, adds considerably to the equation there.
Absolutely. What I thought was interesting was just how cloistered the community that you came from was. From it's funny because in my experience, I grew up modern Orthodox, a sort of cloistered community, but it's really strange. I mean, you kind of have the same structures and psychological constraints keeping people in place, the fear of leaving, the fear of not being part of your community anymore. But for instance, I noticed that one of the illicit movies that you watched was the movie Beethoven.
Correct. Yeah.
Which
that was one of the first movies I watched. Yeah.
Yeah, which
As an adult. Yeah.
which is very funny because that was one of the first movies my parents took me to as a child.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
It's
Well,
a
I'll tell
very-
you the first movies I watched that I got on my own from Blockbuster when I had in the year 2000 when I got a laptop with a DVD player.
Yeah.
I got Titanic and Big Brother with Adam Sandler, and I thought they were both brilliant.
Has your
I'm sorry,
opinion,
not Big Brother, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Has your very important difference. Has your opinion changed
As
on
my
Big
opi-
Daddy?
On Big Daddy, well, yeah, I watched it again.
We ask the important questions here.
I watched it again years later, and I was like, this does not have the same impact.
Yeah.
And I think we have that often when if you read a book later in life
Like
that
the
you really
Bible.
loved, that's one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever really loved the Bible, but I certainly have a different perspective on it. But usually you read or you watch something as a kid, and later as an adult, you don't see the impact. I watched those movies when I was around 24, 25, 26.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a full-grown adult when I first started watching movies in my home. And so 10 years, and so in many ways, I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And so 10 years later, watching the movie over again, it's like, this is just stupid.
I mean, happens to the best of us. I think one of the things that was interesting, too, is just where, the process of you leaving was very interesting to me because it partly starts just with the radio. You're so disconnected to the outside world that in your community, having a radio is forbidden, is a dangerous thing. I mean, you listen to traffic reports.
Yeah,
and there's an illicit thrill.
The first time the first time I turned on the radio, I think it was Curtis Sliwa. I don't know how many people are familiar with him, the Guardian Angels guy, and he's a right-wing person. He was talking about a guy he called Alan Dirty Shirts, who I had no idea who he was talking about, but he was probably talking about Alan Dershowitz, and he was angry at him for some reason. But I was mesmerized by traffic reports and by there's a mattress sale in Paramus, and
mattresses are expensive. It's hard to get a good mattress.
I'd
deal.
never bought a mattress before, but it was really captivating. There was a sale in a car dealership in Lodi, New Jersey. That was like, it was incredible, and the car stuck in the left lane on the Brooklyn Bridge. That stuff was like there's a world out there, and that was I really was taken by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because if you keep somebody that cloistered, it's really hard to restrain curiosity once you start to get an inkling of it. And part of what's so interesting about your process is that you're just searching for the answers. You're just trying to find the truth. Like there's a moment where you go to the rabbis and you're criticized for asking these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced a similar kind of thing where you're criticized for suggesting that this stuff hasn't been answered already, which is infuriating and not a great way to keep people in line.
Yeah.
I remember a seminal moment for me was I asked a question to a rabbi, and he told me that the Rambam says that there's no answer.
Right. And that's
And I was
the
like,
answer.
well,
and that's supposed to be
that's
the
it.
answer.
That's supposed to be an answer. That's not an
Right.
answer.
Right. Well, number one, that's not an answer. Number two, the Rambam lived, close to a millennium ago?
Right.
How is that relevant to a world in which we have made so many advances in what we understand of the universe? The Rambam might have been a genius, was a genius in his time, but what does he have to offer on matters of theology or philosophy or the natural sciences for a person in 2015?
He didn't have Tinder.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean,
He,
I think
he
it's
certainly couldn't be writing listicles for BuzzFeed and
exactly.
things like that.
You never know. Those 13 articles of faith. These are like the
Yeah.
top
That could
13
work.
articles of faith from the 90s.
You would have to spice it up a little bit, make
Yes,
it a little
exactly.
more,
Throw a meme in there. Throw a
Yeah,
picture.
that could be your next project.
What if I told you God is no age? I think
You
it's
won't believe what the fifth commandment, what the fifth principle is.
I think it's interesting that you bring up Alan Dershowitz, just because our last guest Katie Lazarus actually told a story about seeing Alan Dershowitz walk around naked on a beach. So which is apparently a thing that he did in life, or
I'm
does.
not sure I wanted that image, but
Yeah,
okay,
no.
thank you.
So she shared it with me, and I'm sharing it with all of you. I think it's interesting that the nickname on the Sliwa and Kubi show is Dirty
Was
Shirts,
Dirty Shirts,
because
right.
apparently he is not into shirts at all.
Yeah.
I think, so one of the things that I asked all my guests about is I want to know where you are right now in terms of religion, because I think it's interesting just to have that perspective as we go into reading this
Sure.
wacky book.
I'm not a religious person at all. I do not believe in anything that, I do not believe. Like, I don't subscribe to any idea of belief. I have trust, and I have trust in, one of the things I trust in is science, because science is proven, and science has gained my trust. I'm not a scientist, but I know that, if I get into a car and turn on the ignition, I know it will turn on.
Right.
And so I've come to trust science. I know if I get into an airplane, it'll fly.
Because God is carrying it.
Well, that's some people would say that, but but I don't believe anything beyond that. I have no religious or spiritual orientation right now.
So what is your understanding, with that in mind, of where the book that we're about to read, where does it come from?
Well, I think it's the really important founding literature of not only the Jewish people, but the whole Judeo-Christian tradition, the whole Abrahamic faith tradition, which includes so much of the world, probably a huge part of the world.
And half of them haven't read it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. We'll see. Is there a story in this massive tome of text that sticks out to you, or a character that you identify with?
That's an interesting question. I've never thought of that. A character I identify with in the Bible.
Yeah.
In the 5 books of Moses.
Or the entire Tanakh, in all of it.
the entire Tanakh.
You can even go
I mean,
Old
I would have to
Testament
think
and
of some
New
of the
Testament.
badasses.
You got your Korah. You got your Asa.
Yeah, maybe. But, interestingly enough, I think there's something about David.
There is.
There's something about David, because he was a really, really flawed person.
Yes.
And yet, he was also a tremendous person. As an individual, he was. There was something just really human and incredibly. We don't know who wrote Psalms, but we have a tradition that David was an incredibly creative person, and whoever did write Psalms and attributed it to David clearly thought that appropriate.
Yeah.
And the Psalms are just incredibly beautiful. On any level, clearly, somebody is just there pouring out
Can't
their
wait to
heart.
mangle them.
Yeah. I think there's tremendous value in some of the biblical literature, even
Absolutely.
as infused as it is with religious feeling.
Yes. I think, they're really incredible, just faith-based stories. They're incredible. What, to me, in my understanding now, are just epic adventure stories, and then there's a lot of stuff that should not be in it. I think, well, are you guys ready to read the Bible? We've been talking about it so much. Are you ready, Shulem?
I absolutely am.
All right. So this is, just to give you some context, the Hebrews left Egypt. All of Egypt was pretty much destroyed. God gave a bunch of rules to Moses on the mountain, or there was a massive, what seemed like volcano on Mount Sinai. God gave a bunch of rules and then just kept talking for a really long time, and he's still talking. This is Torah, a loose translation, Book 2, Names, Part 9, When You Take, Chapter 83, in which there's a census. And if you're following along in the normal text, Exodus 30:11 to 30:16.
When you take a head count of the sons of Yisrael, Jehovah said to Moshe, everyone must give an atonement for his soul while you count. That way, there's no plague during the census.
A reasonable thing to fear during a census.
Certainly.
You remember the census plague of 2010.
Right. Good point. As they pass by for the census, each will bring half a shekel of the holy shekel.
Is there any other kind?
A shekel is 20 gera. The half shekel will be a tribute to Jehovah. Everyone 20 years and older who comes for the counting will give a tribute to Jehovah.
If there's one thing God needs, it's money.
The wealthy can't give more than a half shekel, and the poor cannot give less, as the tribute they bring to Jehovah to atone for their souls.
So my father is a tax attorney, and he likes to refer to this verse as proof that God is a supporter of the flat tax.
Huh. Take the atoning silver from the sons of Yisrael.
It calls out that this is from the males over 20, so clearly sons is accurate here.
And put it towards the work of the tent of witnessing. Ooh. It will be a memorial to Jehovah. That way, the sons of Yisrael can atone for their souls.
And if you've been following along, they've been doing a lot of sinning, so they have a lot to atone for. That's chapter 83. Just a note, I guess Jehovah is, I'm trying to translate the name of God literally. I don't call him God, I call him Jehovah to try to represent what the text may have meant when it was written, because I think God is kind of a construct that we attach Jehovah to now. I don't know if they really thought of it as God the way we do. Chapter 84, in which cleanliness is requested by godliness. Exodus 30:17 to 30:21.
Make a copper sink, Jehovah said to Moshe.
Oh boy.
With a copper pedestal for washing.
Yeah.
Put it between the tent of witnessing and the altar. Put water in it.
Well, duh.
Wash Aaron and his sons with it. Wash their hands and their feet.
I'm glad he specified which body parts, otherwise this could have gotten dicey.
When they come to the tent of witnessing, wash them with water so they don't die.
God is a lot like your mom. If you walk into the house with dirty feet, they're both totally going to kill you.
Right. Also, when they go to the altar to smoke up a fire offering to Jehovah, wash their hands and feet so they don't die. This will be an eternal decree for him and his seed for generations.
That's chapter 84. Chapter 85, in which things get awesome. Exodus 30:22 to 30:34.
Take some head spices for yourself, Jehovah said to Moshe.
Hell yeah.
500 of pure myrrh.
Yeah.
250 of smelly cinnamon. 250 of cannabis.
Yeah. So I'm getting very alternative here, but there is a Polish anthropologist named Sarah Benetoa who later changed her name to Sula Bennett, and she believed that the Hebrew Kaneh Bosem refers to cannabis. So if there's at least one scholar who says it, I am going with that translation.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
500 of kida based on the holy shekel.
Okay.
And a hin of olive oil.
So according to the rabbis, a hin is 12 lugs. So take note.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Make it into a holy anointing oil, mix it up, and blend it. It'll be a holy anointing oil.
It'll be so damn holy. What's cool is that apparently cannabis it can be applied transdermally. So while it does not have a psychoactive high, if you anoint somebody with cannabis oil, there is some tingly stuff going on. If you're a priest, you get to experience that.
Anoint the tent of witnessing with it.
Ew.
And the Ark of Testimony.
So messy.
Yeah, and it looks like the tent and the Ark were also experiencing
Yeah, and a waste of weed.
And the table, all its tools, the candelabra and all its tools, the incense altar, the offering altar and all its tools, the sink and its pedestal. Sanctify them.
Could have just said all of it, but okay.
They will be so damn holy. Whatever touches them will become holy.
It's like the King Midas of holy making.
Right? Also, anoint Aaron and his boys so they'll become holy and Kohen to me.
Yeah, they're getting stoned.
Say this to the sons of Yisrael. This will be a holy anointing oil to me for generations. Do not smear it on man meat.
You know, I could have looked up what the rabbis say about that weirdness, but I'm going to leave it as is.
Yeah, okay. Well, just moving on.
Man
right?
meat.
And don't make any recipe like it.
Like the secret formula for Coke.
This must be it. It is holy and will be holy to you. Anyone who makes anything like it and puts it on a stranger will be cut off from his nation.
So you could just use the cannabis and then you're fine. That's chapter 84, 85, chapter 86, in which there is more holy oil, but it's a little bit less holy than the oil from before. Exodus 30:34 to 30:38.
Grab yourself some spices, Jehovah said to Moshe. This is getting really repetitive. By the way.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bible.
Take stacti. I have no idea how to pronounce these things. But you can
Nobody
take
does.
stacti, onycha, galbanum, spices, and pure frankincense in equal amounts. Have a spice mixer. Make a mixture of incense, totally mixed, pure and holy. Grind some of it finely and put it before the testimony in the tent of witnessing, where I will testify it to you. It'll be a holy of holies.
There are a
to
lot
you.
of things that are holy of holies. Okay.
Don't make any other incense like this. It'll be holy to you for Jehovah. Anyone who tries to recreate the smell will be cut off from his nation.
These are very harsh punishments for making perfume. But that's chapter 86. And don't worry, I promise the plot is going to pick up soon.
Oh,
chapter 87, in which there's still more of this
Tension
stuff.
is rising already.
Yeah, something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. Exodus 31:1 to 31:11.
Now see here, Jehovah said to Moshe, I've called Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, from the tribe of Yehuda by name, and filled him with the spirit of Elohim in wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and every single kind of work.
So the word used for work here is malacha, which is apparently very important to the rabbis. I'll explain why in a minute.
I've made him able to design gold, silver, and copper, to carve stone for filling, and every other kind of work in the world.
The only thing Bezalel doesn't have is free will.
Koopa Troopa.
So one thing that I've done is the word hine appears a lot in the Bible, and I'm tired of seeing the word behold over and over again. So Koopa Troopa is just one of the many substitutions.
Does it have a meaning, or does everybody know what Koopa Troopa is?
Koopa
except me?
Troopa is a character from the Super Mario Brothers video game. They are small turtles with shells on your back, and if you jump on them, they'll retreat into the shell, and then you can kick the shell.
I see. When
Yes.
you have ex-hasid on as guests, you need to that needs
Something
to be
they
explained.
missed out.
I have no
You
idea.
didn't watch the you didn't watch the Super Mario Brothers movie with John Leguizamo and Bob
should
Hoskins?
do you recommend it?
You're gonna have to anoint yourself with a lot of oil first. But yes.
Okay, noted. So Koopa Troopa. I've given Ahaliah, son of Achisamach, from the tribe of Dan, to him.
Okay.
This guy's got all the wisdom of the heart in his heart.
Also a lot of cholesterol.
I've given him wisdom. He'll make everything I've commanded, the tent of witnessing, the ark of testimony, the cover on it, all the tools of the tent, the table and all its tools, the candelabra of purity and all its tools.
I don't know when it became the candelabra of purity. That's the first time, but okay, whatever.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
The incense altar, the Ola altar and all its tools, the sink and its pedestals, the service clothes. It's very legalistic.
Yeah.
The holy clothes for Aaron the Kohen, the clothes for all his sons to Kohen in, the anointing oil, and the incense for spices for sanctifying, just like I commanded you.
Okay, that's chapter 87. Chapter 88, in which God talks about the fucking Shabbos again. Exodus 31:12 to 31:18.
Now, Jehovah said to Moshe, say this to the sons of Yisrael.
By the way, I gotta say, Moshe's gotta have an amazing memory to get all of this verbatim, because I've forgotten most of it.
You must observe my fucking Shabbos.
Okay, so one liberty that I've taken is I think the Coen brothers are a very important influence on American culture. And when Walter Sobchak refers to himself being Shomer fucking Shabbos, I take that as a note. So every time the word Shabbos appears in my translation, it is the fucking Shabbos, not Shabbat. This is the gospel of Walter Sobchak.
Observe my fucking Shabbos, because it is a sign between the both of us for generations, so you know I am Jehovah who sanctified you.
This is like the 8th time he's talking about this thing.
Guard over the fucking Shabbos, because it is holy to you. Its profaners must die right away.
But the death penalty is new. Interesting.
But we've seen some dying before.
Yes, we have.
The soul of anyone who does work during the fucking Shabbos must be cut off from within the heart of his nation.
So, the word for work here is again malacha. The rabbis, over the thousands of years that they had to worry about this, decide that because the same word is used when describing the work of the tent of witnessing or the sanctuary, the word work here must refer to all of the things that are done to make that, which is where most of the prohibitions for the Shabbat come from. In the actual text, the only real prohibitions are against doing work, whatever that means, and carrying a fire.
You'll do work for 6 days.
5, thanks unions for desecrating God's word.
The 7th day is a holy, Shabbat-y fucking Shabbos to Jehovah.
Shabbat Shabbaton.
Anyone who does work on the fucking Shabbos day must die right away. The sons of Yisrael must guard the fucking Shabbos to make the fucking Shabbos for generations an eternal covenant. It is signed between me and the sons of Yisrael forever. Because for 6 days Jehovah made the sky and the ground. On the 7th day he rested and resold.
Not his shoes, but his soul.
When he was finished talking with Moshe on Mount Sinai, Jehovah gave him the 2 stone tablets of testimony inscribed by the finger of Elohim.
So, very curious. This is finally the tablets, the traditional representation. You see Moses carrying them around, and they have the 10 Commandments on them. But it doesn't say here that they have the 10 Commandments on them. It kind of seems more like it has everything we just read, going all the way back to chapter 47 of this podcast. This is chapter 88, so that's like 41 chapters, the bulk of which has mostly been directions for building and making clothes. So that's your 10 Commandments. That's chapter 88, chapter 89, in which the nation tries its best but still screws up big time. We're actually getting to some plot, Exodus 32:1 to 32:29.
This is where it gets exciting.
Yeah.
The nation noticed Moshe was a little late coming down the mountain. You can see the narrative here is getting a little more, right?
Yes.
You know, there's some suspense building.
No longer monologuing.
They completely mobbed Aharon. Get up, they said. Make an Elohim that can travel ahead of us because we have no idea what happened to Moshe, the man who took us out of Mitzrayim.
Well, he obviously fell into the volcano. This panic is totally reasonable.
Take the gold earrings from your women, sons, and daughters, and bring them to me, Aaron said to them.
Not you. I know you would never wear earrings.
The whole nation ripped their earrings off and brought them to Aaron. He took the stuff, put it in a mold, and made them into a molten calf. Yisrael, he said, these are your Elohim who brought you up from Mitzrayim. Aaron saw all this and built an altar in front of the calf. Tomorrow is a festival to Jehovah, he called out.
So here's the thing. You know, the way the story is, they're worshiping an idol, but he's still calling it Jehovah. It's still the correct God. These guys are just doing their best.
They seem a little confused.
They're very confused.
Yeah.
Their leader disappeared.
The next day they got up early. They brought olas and peace offerings. Things turned wild. Food and drink flowed, and an orgy broke out.
Okay, so the word here is litzachek, which has meant sexual stuff before, like when Avimelech saw Yitzchak diddling Rivka back in Genesis. If the whole nation is playing litzachek, that kind of sounds like an orgy to me.
Yeah, I mean, we keep the translations consistent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get down there, Jehovah said to Moshe. Your people, who you brought out of Mitzrayim, are going bananas.
Oh, so they start misbehaving, and all of a sudden they're your people? Come on, God.
I commanded them on a path, but they strayed so damn quickly.
Oh, boy.
They make a molten calf for themselves and bowed to it and sacrificed to it and said, these are your Elohim, Yisrael, who raised you out of Mitzrayim.
He didn't even mention the orgy.
I know these guys, Jehovah told Moshe, and yeesh, they are some stiff-necked people.
Yeah, that's how you made him, buddy.
Get away from me. I'll burn them with my anger and destroy them. Then I'll make you into a great nation.
You know, I don't think God gets people.
Moshe pled with Jehovah to his face. Jehovah, he said, why burn your anger at your nation?
Smart, throwing your right back at him.
You took him out of Mitzrayim with great strength and a strong hand. Don't let Mitzrayim say he took them out in evil to kill them in the mountains, to wipe them off the face of the earth. Chill out with your burning anger. Calm your evil down. Remember what you yourself swore to your slaves, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? I'll make your seed increase like the stars of the skies, you said.
I love it when Moshe talks dirty.
I'll give the entire land I talked about to your seed as their share forever. Jehovah calmed down and let go of the evil he talked about doing to his nation. Moshe turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of testimony in his hands. There was writing on both sides of the tablet.
So there's a normal version of this verse and a crazy version. The normal version is that there is writing on both sides of the tablet. The crazy version is that there was writing that went all the way through the tablet somehow, and then if you turned it around on the other side, it read perfectly well on both sides of the tablet.
It's right in the Gemara.
God is magic.
Elohim made the tablets by boring the writing into them. Yehoshua heard the nation clamoring. The sound of war is coming from the camp, he said to Moshe.
Oh, poor kid has no idea what an orgy sounds like.
I don't hear a sound of distress from the mighty, Moshe said, nor from the weak, but I do hear distress.
This is a job for...
When he got near the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, Moshe's brow burned.
He's running a fever.
He threw the tablets and broke them under the mountain. He took the calf they made and burned it in a fire, ground it until it was very fine, sprinkled it on some water, and made the sons of Yisrael drink it.
So that went from angry to super weird. You like this golden calf so well why don't you drink it?
This sounds like this is like
Also, that's-
speaking of orgies, like we're getting like this is like S&M shit. Like,
Yeah. But isn't that a drink? There's Goldschlager, which is just a
Right.
drink. People do that for fun.
What
Moshe's
did
a
they
weird
do?
dude.
Moshe said to Aaron, "You've done a real bad thing." "Don't get your head all hot, master," Aaron said to Moshe.
Put on a cold compress.
"You know the nation is in a bad place. Make us an Elohim," they said to me, "so it'll travel before us, because we don't know what happened to that Moshe guy who brought us up out of Mitzrayim." So I said to them, "Who has gold?" They broke it off, tossed it in the fire, and the calf came out. Moshe saw the nation was exposed. Aaron had exposed them in shame to their enemies. Moshe stood at the gate of the camp. "Whomever is for Jehovah," he said, "to me." All the sons of Levi went to him.
Well, maybe they were the only ones who could hear him, you know?
You think?
Yeah. I don't know.
"This is what Jehovah Elohim of
This gets
Yisrael said." He said to them, "Everyone must grab his sword and go back and forth through the camp, killing their brother, their neighbor, and their kin."
So this is weird because this never happened. Jehovah did not say that.
The sons of Levi did what Moshe said. About 3,000 men fell that day.
Give or take. The Bible doesn't know you exact numbers. Also, that's crazy.
That's some real like ISIS shit.
Yeah.
Fill your hands.
3,000 people. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Fill your hands to Jehovah today, Moshe said, because today you've gone against your sons and brothers, so I can give you a blessing.
Wait, what the fuck? Okay. That's 88. That last line made no sense.
That's all we've got time for. Join us in a couple of weeks for the next installment, released on Thursday on Juicy.com and Friday everywhere else. And remember, you can talk back to me on Twitter, Facebook, OMGWTFBIBLE.com, or OMGWTFBIBLE@gmail.com. If you like the show and want to check out a live recording, the next one is, well, we don't know exactly when it's going to be, but it might be at Beauty Bar on May 25th on Memorial Day, that is. If the bar is open, pay attention to the Facebook page, Twitter feed, and email list in order to find that out. The following show is the Big Fat Exodus finale. That's going to be on June 22nd at 7:30 p.m. at Beauty Bar, our old haunt. If you like the show, please rate and review it on iTunes. It really helps. And be sure to always listen, because next time in the Bible...
"Show me your glory, please," Moshe said.